Hello and welcome, my wonderful Coldplay friends out there. We are finally here. Moon Music is released. We've all had a good listen to it, and I am so excited to discuss it with you. Now, of course, before we get into all of that, if you haven't done so yet, I would highly encourage you to subscribe to this channel. I just have a ton of ideas with this album for content to make, and I'm sure you won't regret subscribing. And also, I just wanted to mention that I personally just released a new song, so if you'd like to help me out and give that a listen, I'll include a link to that song in the description below. Now, in this video, I'm not going to be going over the extended version that includes those extra songs, so if you'd like to hear my thoughts on those songs, definitely leave a comment below. But without further ado, let's get started in this deep dive of Moon Music. Alright, so the album starts off with a song called Moon Music. And the thing that I'm always looking for with the intro song of an album is, okay, does it set the stage, set the tone for what this album is going to be like? And I feel like Moon Music did an excellent job of doing that. And to my excitement, it does this through way of connecting the dots from Music of the Spheres to Moon Music. For example, we hear that robot voice that we heard at the beginning of Music of the Spheres, and they brought it back for this album, and just the way thematically it feels, the atmosphere that it builds from the very beginning feels like we're picking up right where we left off with Coloratura. Like if you were to listen to all of Music of the Spheres and then this album, it feels very cohesive, and I just really appreciate that from this intro song. And keep in mind that everything that I'm going over is in just the very first 2 minutes of the song, but we have a whole nother section of the song. So in the second half, it switches to this beautiful piano, and honestly, this is one of my favorite parts of this album. I think that right from this moment where the piano starts and Chris sings, you really understand what this album is going to be about. Which the way I like to describe it as is everyday life meets Music of the Spheres universe, which also is played out in the rest of this album. So overall, it sets the tone, and it's a beautiful song, and it has so much going for it, so I loved it. Alright, so next up is Feels Like I'm Falling in Love, which I kind of already reviewed before, which you can check out the video here, but it's been a little bit of time since I've listened to it, and it's sunk in a little more, so I kind of wanted to just go over it again. So right off the bat, from the instrumentation and what, the lyrics are saying, it's a very bittersweet kind of song, and I think the attitude of this song in the beginning is probably where this song shines the most. Now, you're gonna hate me for this, but when it gets to the chorus, I still cannot differentiate this from Higher Power. It just sounds too similar to me, and I don't want to say it ruins it for me, but I have a hard time separating it. But despite that, I think the song does a really good job dynamically building in the song. We start off at this certain level, and then the choruses feel like choruses, and the ending feels like this very powerful ending. Especially when it has that la la section at the very end, it feels very strong, and I think that might be my favorite part of the song, despite the fact that it doesn't really have lyrics to it. But yeah, I think overall the song was pretty good, and it has a lot of good characteristics to it, but nothing that really stood out to me. And it's just like not a song that I'm seeking out when I'm listening to this full album. But again, if you'd like to hear more on the discussion of the song, feel free to check out the video right here. All right, so next up we have another single that was released before the album, We Pray. And I feel very conflicted about this song. I love the beat and backing tracks for this song. I love the features on this song, but for some reason, the song just doesn't feel very sincere to me. From a grand point of view, the song is incredibly deep. I think it has a lot of content that's talking about some deep stuff about how us as a collective, as humanity, wants justice, wants peace. And for some reason, like I said, I just don't get that when I'm listening to the song. Now, I spent a lot of time thinking about this, and the only thing I could really think of is that I feel like it might be trying too hard, if that makes any sense. Or maybe it's this juxtaposition of having this aggressive beat and lyrics and rap sections versus this humbling desire for peace. It just didn't work for me, unfortunately. And I think maybe it might take a little bit more time. But if anyone else felt similar to this, definitely let me know in the comments, because I feel really bad saying that, but maybe, like I said, maybe it'll just take time. All right, so next up we have Jupiter, and this one I really liked. It's just super cute and feels very everyday life in the vocals and the guitar work, and it just has these one-liners that hit hard and sting. For example, it has the lyric, "Jupiter longed to be herself or die. I want to burst into a butterfly." So it's got like this Milo-esque era lyrics mixed with this everyday life feeling and like guitar and vocals and everything, which to me is just A+. But despite how much I really did enjoy this song, there are a few things that kind of I didn't love. For one, it just was insanely repetitive, using the same 3 chords basically the entire song. And not only does it use the same 3 chords the entire song, but the chord progression itself is incredibly fast. So when you hear these same 3 chords repeated quickly the entire song, it feels like it could get boring after a while. But overall, I feel like the positives of this song outweigh the negatives, and it's just a song about self-acceptance, which I fully support. Okay, so next up we have Good Feelings, and this one, from the very beginning of the song, feels incredibly Music of the Spheres. So it does a good job of making the listener feel rooted in this universe, this Music of the Spheres realm, if you will. And it also kind of has this Adventure of a Lifetime feel with that bass line, which felt pretty good. Now, I don't think there was a ton of substance to the song, if that makes sense. It's kind of just one of those put your headphones on, shut your brain off, and just enjoy it kind of songs. I don't think the song really ranks very high for me on this album, just because I personally enjoy some more substance or something more, I don't want to say creative, but something with an identity. And this had a feel to it, and it had this groove to it, but it just didn't really do it much for me. But I guess the positive of this song is it is some kind of structure, and it is this kind of dance feel-goody song on a very loose structured album. So it adds some stability to the album, which I did appreciate. Okay, so next one is Rainbow. And this song made me feel things. For the most part, it is, again, another loose structured song, and it has just all these beautiful aspects to it. My favorite being about a minute and a half into the song, you hear this super open drum part, and you hear these long vocals. And to me, that felt so good, hearing that for the first time. It kind of felt like, you know how the end of Fix You is, with that open drumming and that chanting? It's obviously not Fix You, but it was that kind of style, and I personally loved that. The only negative I had about this song was that this section ended way too quickly. I feel like this could have been the entire song, where you spend some time building up to this point, and then, like in Fix You, it just goes all out, and it feels so strong. And it makes you want to just sing out loud at concerts. And I don't know, maybe it's just me over-examining a small section of a song that I really liked, but I felt like this could have gone on a little longer. But yeah, so instead, Coldplay switches over direction a little bit to this piano part, and you have this very beautiful voiceover thing, which I liked. It is very good. It was just like, after it was abruptly stopped, I was like, oh man, why'd you do that? But don't get me wrong, I wasn't like disappointed in that second half of the song or in the song in general. I did really like this one, but I just, like I said, wanted more. All right, so the next song we have is I Am a Mountain, and this song starts off with this really funky chord, and I don't know exactly why they chose to use that chord to start the song off, but I really dug it. And honestly, I really liked the song in general. I think after listening to this full album, this song and one other song were the ones that were just stuck in my head constantly. And overall, the song is very empowering and inspirational. I guess some points in the song do feel a little fluffy to me, but it didn't bother me too much. And the chorus does something very musically interesting. It has this unique syncopation and the way it uses the pickup, it feels like there's a delayed beat. And it can be a little bit jarring, but personally, I thought it was really cool. So yeah, good song, cringe at moments, but I liked it. Okay, so next up is AETERNA, and if you're into Coldplay as much as I am, you've probably heard this song a million times by now. But I will say, after hearing it produced and mastered on an official track, it sounds great. The song itself is very house-like, and coming from Coldplay, I wasn't expecting it to be a genre that works for them, but apparently it does. I think the song feels almost like a remix of itself. Like the song exists before this, and this is just the remix of a different Coldplay song. But yeah, I don't have a ton to talk about with this song. I did like the ending with the chanting and everything. Feels very everyday life. But yeah, just another shut your brain off, fun, kind of dancey song. And then we have All My Love. I love this song. Chords, structure, meaning, intention, progression. It's got everything. And the song feels very like Elton John-esque and at moments Beatles-esque, which really worked. I think my favorite part in the song is around 2.5 minutes through the song where it just all comes together. You hear all the instrumentation and it just feels so warm and feels so comfortable. And I think being the second to last song on the album made perfect sense for this very heartwarming song. And last but not least, we have One World. I love the way this song starts off with this beautiful bass synth. It is almost hypnotizing. And then when the piano comes in and the vocals come in, it feels like home. Now, of course, the song could be a little repetitive at the beginning with the repeated words and such, but I didn't really mind it. And it could be just because I've heard this song before and I knew what to expect. But after that section, it moves into a new one so seamlessly and does something that I don't think I've ever seen a song do before. As I mentioned back in the Rainbow song, had this one section that I loved and I wanted so much more of. It kind of brings it back in this song. When it gets to that section that has those open drums and it has the line that says, "In the end, it's just love," it sounds very similar. And I feel like it's almost connected in a way, and I don't know if that was intentional by Coldplay or not, but it felt resolute. And I really appreciated that. And of course, there's like an ending to the song, which is very fun and is almost Amazing Day-like, which I liked as well. It was a fun little bonus to have at the end of the album, which I always appreciate. And that, my friends, is how I felt about the new Coldplay album, Moon Music. But of course, I'd love to know your thoughts on the album, so feel free to leave a comment below. And again, if you'd like to support me and listen to my new song, I'll include a link to that in the description below. But thank you so much for watching to the end here. Subscribe if you want more Coldplay content, like this video if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, peace.